thank you so much again for joining me on this channel. As always, I'm very grateful for all your previous views, likes, subscriptions and shares. And we're going to be looking at the movie WallE, thanks to Django1546ig, who left a comment saying it's their favourite movie and it's also one of mine. WallE is a Disney Pixar movie from 2008. And what I find, you'd think that after over a year of doing this, you'd be better. WallE is what I like to call part of a golden trilogy of Pixar Disney movies. In 2007 they had Ratatouille, which is a really creative piece of work about a rat who turns out to be an amazing chef. Then after WallE in 2009 you had Up, featuring an octogenarian as the main character and hero. Smack bang in the middle you have WallE. So who is WallE? Well, it's an acronym for Waste Allocation Land Lifter Earth Class. He's a tiny little yellow robot on caterpillar tracks with these amazing video camera style eyes that rise up in a little stalk. And his job is to collect waste, squeeze it into his tummy and then stack it, as we can see in the image here. What's also really charming about the opening of the movie is that it really harks back to the days of silent cinema. WallE reminds me of someone like Jacques Tati or indeed Buster Keaton. There's a lot of physical comedy and it's actually incredibly moving. In fact, the first 5 minutes could actually play as a short movie in itself as we see how lonely WallE is. A very powerful theme in WallE is that of environmental issues, but it doesn't patronise and it doesn't preach. WallE is a small robot clearing up the planet Earth in the not too distant future. What's happened is that a huge company called By and Large, faceless, uncaring, have managed to swamp the entire world with its greed and its lack of respect for the environment. Things have got so bad that robots are needed to clear up the waste and the rubbish. Human beings, meanwhile, have left the planet on these huge spaceships and are basically waiting for planet Earth to be fixed up and cleaned. Looking after the environment is an important part of many religions, and I was thinking about how in 1730 a group of Hindus known as the Bishnoi, living in a small village just outside Jaipur, had to protect the trees. They were going to be cut down, and what happened is that, led by a woman, the Bishnoi actually decided to literally hug onto the trees to become tree huggers, and their act has rippled through the ages because we use the term tree hugger. Now, it can be used as a pejorative term, but the point is that this tribe cared so much about the environment, cared so much about the trees, they were literally willing to put their lives on the line for their sacred trees. Thankfully, WallE isn't alone for too long on planet Earth. Arriving in a huge space rocket is Eve. Eve stands for Extraterrestrial Vegetation Evaluator. Her role is to look for organic life on planet Earth, and when she finds it in the shape of a very small plant, it means her mission is complete. She can go back to one of the spaceships where humanity are residing, and it means that everyone can return to planet Earth. And it's interesting how the name Eve has been chosen, because the traditional meaning of the word Eve is living. When I was looking at the Jewish holy book, the Tanakh, piecing this video together, there's a really fascinating reference to Eve in the book of Genesis, after Adam and Eve have been kicked out of the Garden of Eden. And I'd never noticed it before. She doesn't disappear from the narrative in the Tanakh. In fact, there's a little line that says Eve is said to have created a man together with the Lord. And the word for create is the same as the word used in the Tanakh for the creative power of God. And what's interesting is that if you read the Tanakh, women are said to bear children, not create a man. And creating a man with God puts that female creative power alongside that of God. I confess this completely blew my mind, and it certainly adds a lot more weight and makes the name Eve seem even more dynamic and powerful. Eve and WallE make their way to the Axiom, which is the spaceship where humanity have been waiting for centuries, ready for Earth to be tidied up and cleaned. The problem is they've been, well, rather lazy. They've become rather large and they've got rather, to be honest, comfortable in their lives, having everything done for them and enjoying everything that By and Large is supplying. But what's interesting is the name of the ship. An axiom is a statement or principle that is generally accepted to be true, but need not be so. And that's a very subtle message, isn't it? What's really interesting is that if humanity on the Axiom were to switch off their screens and to spend time talking to each other, they would see the truth and the value of friendships and the people around them. And it reminded me of the teachings of the Buddha. Buddha literally means to be awake. And there's a wonderful story of the Buddha walking around, and someone says to him, "My friend, what are you? Are you a celestial being or a god?" "No," said the Buddha. "Well then, are you some kind of magician or wizard?" Again, the Buddha answered no. "Are you a man?" "No." "Well, my friend, then what are you?" And the Buddha simply replied, "I am awake." And there's such a great truth in that, isn't there? Sometimes we simply just need to be able to pause and to look around us and to see that actually there is a great truth in front of us. So, WallE, Eve and the humans from the Axiom return to planet Earth with this very precious plant, and they restart, they reboot, they re-energize planet Earth. And the closing titles of WallE are wonderful. You see humanity thrive again thanks to this little plant, and of course the heroics of WallE and Eve. And it got me thinking about the parallels in the Christian tradition of a new heaven and a new earth. In the book of Revelation, which is the last book of the Bible, the author John puts together a symbolic vision of the great rebirth, that there will be a new heaven and new earth. And it's fascinating how John goes back to this idea of gardens. Thank you so much. It was a real pleasure to have a little run through WallE and some of the religious themes. Of course, that's not all the themes. When you watch the movie, you may be able to find some more yourself. Why not leave them on the comments page? As always, I'm very grateful for all your likes, subscriptions, views and shares. And until I see you next week, enjoy your learning.